I'm going to share with you ways that you can improve the speed of how you rehab and increase the speed of your recovery. Hi, my name is Dimitri, founder of Total Rehab, and I help people recover from injuries, chronic pain, and many other sorts of problems, neck, back, and joints. So the most important thing as you do your rehab, your exercises have to change as you improve. Because what happens is your muscles get conditioned to the same stimulus, and if you don't change that stimulus, you don't make progress. And so you have to increase the intensity, time, or how you do the movement, so that way you can continue to improve. What happens with muscles is that if initially, I'm just going to use my arm as an example, but this can be any muscle in the body. Our muscles anatomically and by physiology are the same everywhere, so they respond exactly the same. The process is the same for rehabbing, but the movements change depending on where you have the injury. So let's say, for example, if I had injured my arm and my whole arm hurts, then I'm going to start off with a light weight and do a broad general movement, and this is going to help grow muscle overall in this area. What will happen with time is it's going to heal some, and it's going to be a lot easier to do this movement. So then I have to challenge it more. What you can do then is increase the weight and then do that movement, and then you'll continue to make progress. And eventually what will happen is the area of pain is going to shrink down, most likely around the joints. So the pain of area is shrinking down here. What you have to do is start doing the movements more specifically and shorten them down to focus exactly where you have the problems and not do broad movements. So for example, if the pain is either here or here, then here I want to stretch this tissue to target it and then do smaller movements, focusing exactly where I have the issue and problem. And what will happen with time is that area is going to shrink down. So you want to start stretching it further and further and further and do smaller and smaller movements targeting these small areas. Or if it hurts around here, then what I will do is I will stretch this area and then I will shorten down the movements, focusing closer to where the joint is. And eventually this area is going to get so small that my movements are going to be extremely fine-tuned and specific, and they can get even smaller and smaller, and you'll eventually want to increase the weight more and more. Generally for this one, 10 pounds is about the max you would do for rehabbing it. But let's say you're doing construction or you're an athlete, you might want to get up to 15 pounds, even higher, to complete your rehab. Now the time frame for how long this takes is it can take a long time. And generally in a month or two, you're probably going to be feeling pretty good, but it becomes harder to stimulate growth around the joints because the tissue becomes much more fibrous and tough. Those are the ligaments and tendons that attach your muscles to the bone, or they make the capsule of the joints. A very little blood flow goes to that tissue, so it takes a long time to heal. And a long time can be like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. The longest injury I've had to heal when I was somewhere around 30 took me 1.5 years. Why? I have no idea. I've had other injuries that felt worse that have taken 2 weeks to heal. So every injury is different, every person is different, and it just depends on the nature of that. But most things heal much faster, but just anticipate that sometimes you're going to be rehabbing for 6 months. And sometimes the tail end of getting that last 20% that's bugging you can take the same amount of time as the first 80%. So if it took you 3 months to get 80% better, it might take you 3 months to get 100% better, or even longer, because this last part is tougher. It's not as concrete. It's like amorphous, and it all goes by feel. And so it takes longer to learn and figure out how to do it correctly. And one other thing that can happen is setbacks. That happens with everybody. Pretty much every patient I've had has had a setback. So if you're making a ton of progress, then you do something, to injure it again, that's totally normal. You take a bunch of steps back, get back in the swing of things, and then just continue working at it and working at it. This is a process. It takes time to learn. And think of it this way. How many people do you think actually get to be pain-free with pain or injuries they've had? it's a very small amount of people. And so the amount of work and effort you have to put in to get to that point, is going to be equivalent, right? It takes a ton of work and effort to figure this out. And if you're struggling with stuff like I was, and I lived in pain all day, every single day, and I learned how to rehab, and I live pain-free today. But if you need help with that, go into the comments or go into the description, reach out to me, or go to my website where I have all my lessons and exercises 100% for free, because my goal is to be able to make this accessible to everybody, because I learned and figured out how to live without pain. And all I do every single day is teach other people how to do the same thing. So see you next time.